unexpected to get this, but
Yeah.
this has been kind of all I can talk about around the house since I've been with real life trading for the
Yep.
past, 6, 7 months. And
Yep.
my wife's seen it. It's got some great results for me and for the family. And, but sees me get like, I'm one of those people, as you probably know, all the other traders probably are. Once you get into something, you kind of pour your whole self into that. And then your sense of self now becomes associated with it. So
Yeah.
she sees me kind of when we're having an up day and then down, we're having a down day. So I think she, for the sake of the family, wanted me to talk to someone if this is going to keep going, which it will. I want to make sure that I'm not, that I'm able to not take it out on the family when
Yeah.
I'm having a bad day, and yeah, so I think I'm definitely getting better at that. And as time goes on, I'm getting better at that. But yeah, I mean, I think she sees you helping me with this, and I think you probably can too.
Well, cool, man. Absolutely. And I know we talked on the phone, to kind of like prep a little bit for this. And so I know that you want to get better at finding swing trades and look at some swing trading, review some. And I know you got the money that you're kind of talking about, but and we'll definitely get to that. But on that note of like the whole happiness and letting trades and letting days affect you and all that good stuff, man, a lot of that comes from the practice of detachment, which takes time with anything, but it's really some self-reflection, some meditation in your mind that you've already lost all of it and that you don't care.
Right.
Like just lose all attachment to all things money and all things physical and just it sounds insane, obviously, but it's like any profession, man. It doesn't matter if it's like you're a chef or a football player. Like you're gonna have days where you lose something, where something doesn't go right, where it's just like not awesome. And
Right.
so having that detachment in advance and in the present at all moments where you're just like, well, whatever. If it goes down, it goes down. If it goes up, it goes up. I don't care. Like you don't have any days that are good or bad based on whatever something external does. It's all about internal. And so you're trying to create this image, this presence, this being who is you, obviously, but the best version of Jack possible. And if you said, like, what does that look like? And would he care what the market does and would it matter to him? Because Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, one of the reasons they're some of the richest people in the world is because they also don't care, right? Like they don't care about that. They care about some type of bigger mission. They care about some type of bigger vision. And so when they are losing billions of dollars in a day or a week, they don't care. Their life goes on about them just as normal.
Right.
And it's
So
about that.
replacing that, having that purpose that's greater than just whatever the market's doing right now is help part of that, right? Is it like, hey, no matter what day happens today, my goal is over here and it's still going to be there no
Correct.
matter what the outcome of today is.
Correct. It doesn't matter if it's a good day or a bad day. Like you could be up, you could be down. So you don't want to. It's really not even celebrating the fact that you're winning or losing. That you intrinsically tie your personality and your feelings and your beliefs and your motivation, your energy to the market. It's just practicing tying that to something else. So tying that to your future beliefs, your visions, your dreams, what you and your wife are doing, what you guys want to talk about, and just detaching and just not caring. Like, who cares? Like, let's say you lose all of your money. Like, you just go make more. There's so much of it, you know?
Right. See, and that's the hard part too. Is I've listened to your book and I've
Yep.
listened to Killing Sacred Cows, and
Yep.
I identify with so many of the, like it feels right. Like I'm listening to, I'm like, yeah, this why don't we just do this? But then in practice, getting over that hump is like fighting everything I've ever been trained to believe, because it's 100% true. You're raised to work hard, you got to earn it. You can't go make money on the stock market because that's cheating. You're not earning it. And you got to just save every penny, and then eventually it'll pay off in the long run. And it's like that all is 100% the script that I was brought up with. And so
Sure.
now flipping that at 30, 30 plus years old is hard. But
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting because in my life I've overcome that so many times. I've been through the justice system, I've had some medical issues, and I've overcome all these things and have come back from when they said you won't come back.
Yeah.
So it's just so hard for me now on this one thing. It's like, here's the thing that no one else is kind of lording over me, and I don't have the justice system out of my control. I don't have medical system out of my control. It's like, here's a market where I can just enter and play, and it's me versus the market. So it's like, why is this the thing where I'm the only person standing in my way, the one that I haven't been able to get over yet? It's like me is my own biggest obstacle.
Yeah.
So
That's the fun shit though, bro.
right.
That's where it gets awesome.
It's awesome, but also the most frustrating too, because you're like, why can't I just flip that switch? And it's not, it hasn't been that easy for me to flip. So
No.
I'm trying to work, because I feel it though, when you do let go, the things do get easier. And I'll just give this example. Like I've been since 2012 or so, I've been saving my digital spare change in an Acorns app. You know how that works. So just a couple bucks here and there, and then just weekly contributing. So like 5-6 years go by, and I look at the thing, and it was at 14 grand, which is great. It's not bad for all these years, but you look at the little future planning thing, and it says, hey, it's 70. This is going to be 800 grand, man. So don't take it out. Don't you? And, for all those years, I was like, oh, how do I get it to 900? Just like tweaking on the little tiny cents. And so like mid-February, I was thinking, I really want to sign up for Traders Post. I want to do this because it's doing things that I don't have time to do, to track the trades, to enter them. And, it follows the plan. There's no BS about it. It's just going to, so here's something that I haven't been able to do yet, which is have the time to dedicate to this strategy and follow the plan perfectly. So what am I going to do? I figured I'm going to get 10 grand. I'm going to set up the account. I'm just going to let it do its thing and just run in the background, and I'll just check in on it, And so, but for me, that was a huge thing, because I had these, I didn't have 10 spare K at the time. And I was like, I'm going to shut down this Acorns account. I'm going to move that money over, and I'm going to fund it with this 10K, this thing I've been saving for all these years, this precious sacred cow that I have, that I'm going to make that 800,000 in 50 years. And I was like, because I can use this money right now and probably get way more, And so,
right.
So I did that, and it actually sold on a Friday. I think it was like the 18th or something. So it was like the perfect day to do it before the whole crash started. It took a while to get the money to my account. Once it got there, I had to fund a whole new TD Ameritrade thing and set it up with Jonathan Wages. But on March 1st, it was on, And then as of, I think, last Friday, literally all 10 of 10 are now, Momo is on and I'm long. So like all of them are going. And that plan worked out, So it's like, it's exactly what I wanted to do. I would have never caught all those trades, because this week's been super busy. I never would have, I would not have done that. But if I had not, made the plan to do that, I'd killed that cow, brought that money over. And then like those 7 years, for briefly, I felt like all that's gone now, because now my 800,000 when I'm 70 is going to not be there anymore. But like that was hard for me to do.
Yeah.
And it seems easy, but it was hard, but I did it, and I did it. And so now I'm super juiced, because all the 10, they're all working. I'm positive in the account. It's, they didn't even, I forgot about it happening, and it's happening. So, I mean, it's
a big step, man. Yeah.
But it's working. Like, I get it that, the old me would have not done that, and so I'm getting there. Bro. I'm starting to have these dominoes fall.
Exactly.
But it just seems slow.
No, dude, totally. It is slow. Unfortunately, it steps in the right direction. And that's a massive deal, because like I said, you're going, yeah, this is uncomfortable, this is scary, but those are the steps that we have to take to make massive changes, is the tiny incremental steps that might not seem big or ostentatious at the time, but they on a macro scale are huge. Because an example would be, well, I don't want 800,000 when I'm 70, because that's not that much money. With inflation, and 70 is forever away. Like 800,000 is like, that's a car,
Right.
Like that's a nice car. It's like, if you wanted to spend all of it on one fell swoop, you could. So again, losing attachment from the future as well, right? Not caring about the outcome of anything. So the detachment of the past, detachment of the present, and detachment of the future. In essence, the crazy part is like, that's enlightenment. So I'm not saying that I do it. The goal is to try. And then when you see something that you're uncomfortable with in all aspects of your life, you keep getting in this zone where you just continually do the things that are out of your comfort zone. Example, you have a job, right?
Yeah.
When's the last time you asked for a raise?
Last year, I asked for a raise every year. but they don't. Yeah, I don't ask for enough though. I
Yeah.
we were supposed to get a review every year, and I always ask, but they, usually say yes. But this last year was rough. But
Oh, of course. But I mean, when you ask though, like, so there's multiple questions. So there's a question like, can I get a raise? There's a question of how can I provide more value to the company? Then there's a question of what would I need to do to make $300,000 a year? It's just three different questions. And I
you
don't
mean
know.
like so like that would be the question I would ask them is how do I get to that 300K level?
Yeah,
Or is that like, yeah,
yeah, exactly. But imagine that you did that once a month.
asking for a raise once a month
Yeah,
to them?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, you see how like your body's like, that's super scary. Like, that's weird. That's terrifying. It's frightening. That
Yeah.
that is the greatness. That's the piece where everyone can slowly make those tweaks and adjustments. And bro, you start getting in your body when you can find every aspect of your life where there's the smallest things of uncomfortableness, and then you go act on those things. Because it can be a thing of relationship with your wife or your parent or a brother, sister, aunt, uncle. It can be a questions you've never asked them in your life. Like, what's your most embarrassing moment? Right? Just asking questions that you've never asked before to other people on a frequent basis and trying to think of what's a way that I could ask something that would change our relationship forever with this one question. And being in that zone where you're always uncomfortable and it's always a little bit terrifying is the only way that you grow massively quickly.
Hmm.
Because yeah, you ask that company, your company, hey, how can I make $300,000? And you ask them every single month, like you're going to get some type of answer at some point. And you might get different ones, you might get good ones, but are they going to fire you? No. I mean, most of the time your brain says, yeah, they will. They get annoyed with me. But it's like, bro, like if you ask me, hey, how can I make real life trading $300,000? I'd give you an answer. And then if you made me $300,000, I would pay you a lot of money because like that's how businesses work. Like 99% of the time, people are like, if this person brings me revenue and value, I'm going to give you money.
Right.
So it's like if you brought RLT $800,000 of business, I would give you $300,000 unquestionably. Wouldn't even be an almost. You know what I'm saying? And so it's
Right.
like any company would do that. But it's the ability to sit down and go, all right, let me figure this out. Let me figure out how I can achieve that and obtain that, and then just continually slowly push yourself out of those comfort zones in all aspects of your life, not even just work, but even if with your relationship with your boss, getting to know them on a deep personal level where you can motivate them and they can motivate you, and your clients, your employers, your people that you work with, like just building relationships, again, your wife, your family, kids, everyone, just trying to figure out the tiny ways where you can grow. And the way that you grow is by being uncomfortable. So when you're talking about making those micro distinctions like that, that's how it's achieved. Like if you want to speed up this process, otherwise it is a little bit of a slower process and it'll take time. It'll take 10 years. And then in 10 years, you'll make massive changes. But if you want to make it in a year, that's the way you do it. You just change your standards because that question that you ask, right? The 300,000, could it be 600,000?
Right.
Could it be a million? I mean,
Yeah.
you get to determine that question. You get to determine the number. You get to say what words come out of your mouth. And once you start picking those numbers and those words, bro, changes everything.
Yeah. I'm just thinking back to how it came because and this is kind of a tangent, but I started out at my work as a freelancer, so just kind of day rate and no benefits or anything. And most of the people in our department, the editorial department, we're all freelance, and so you get a lot higher rate when you're just kind of there and you can go at any time. And but I was there on that rate for like a year and a half, and then they changed the director of our department, and they made this move to make everybody full time, so they could cut down on the freelance costs. So everybody took a huge pay cut. Some people left, but I took a cut. But I wanted the stability. Like at the time, like I wanted, I did first jobs in the industry. I was older, was already post after 30, and most people already had 10 years on their belt. So I was like, yes, I'm getting a full-time thing, and I'm stable and benefits. And so I took it, and I fought for more money, but they were like, well, you're going to work your way up, and they do this the long game, right? Where they're like, they give you little bits to keep you coming back, and then if they feel like you're going to leave, they'll give you more. Like they'll give you a title but not money, just to like, well, the money will catch up to you. And so that's what they did a couple of years after, is they made me a senior producer, and they're like, well, but they gave me like a junior amount of more money. So yeah, just enough. And I mean, I get it to the company is a small one, and is just, and here I go, because I'm going to start defending them on why they can't pay me more, because that's how I'm trained, right?
Yeah.
So but yeah, I mean, I do get it that I do provide a lot of value for them. And at the time, when I was, asking for, more money to become a senior producer, like I went through Glassdoor and I printed out all these, here's what other people are making in this city. San Francisco has a big video production community. So there's a lot of people making a lot of money doing it. It's like, oh yeah. Well, if you want that, we can always find someone younger to come in and do it for cheaper. And we train them, and I was like, well, what kind of answer is that? So like, that's not the kind of, hey, I see you bring value here. I want to foster that and make you into the best producer we can be. Let us work with you on, maybe we can't give you more money now, but maybe we can do that and help develop you. But it was the other way. It was like oh, you think this is too little? Well, we can just throw you out and get someone new.
I love it.
Wasn't really great. But then 2 years later, seeing them try that, having them see, people come in and they try and train someone, and then they wash out. And then here's me that, people ask questions. Like I'm someone they come back to over and over. Like they have seen their own inaccuracy of their own statement. And so I don't think that that game of chicken, I think I won that, but
yeah,
it's still like they had to give everyone a pay cut this year in
Yeah.
2020, because we could have gone under.
Totally.
Fortunately we didn't, but then it's not looking good on the raises this year. But I hear you, and
Well, so take the standpoint though, because you're 100. First of all, you're 100% correct. Like you're thinking that the answer had to be they pay you more. The answer could be we can never do that ever, and you go, well, shit, then I don't want to work here, and you go build your own company, or you go find a company that will pay you that. There has to be someone somewhere in the world that's making a lot of money doing video, right?
Yeah.
Or you just start your own company, and that's but then that's where a whole nother level of fear comes up, right?
Right.
And so those are the things where you get to attack, because it's like that's the way of accelerated growth. That's it. It's just called raising your standards. So like when you go, this is what I do, this is what I want to do, and finding out how to bridge those things, and then just pushing past a little bit, like the smallest amount, that comfort zone just changes everything. That's all. Because even if you said, all right, well, if you ask them that question, they're like, well, dude, you're insane. You're a moron. Like there's no way you could ever do that. We can never pay you. Like you've seen all this. They give you those answers. But now you have answers, and now your brain has an answer to that question. And then when your brain has an answer to the question, it starts formulating other questions like, well, how about you guys pay me the exact same, but now I own part of the company?
Right.
Maybe not, but maybe I'll fine. I'll work for free. What if I work for free, but I own part of the company, or I own part of the revenue? Or what if I do this and sales, or what if I bring in $1 million worth of business into the company? Can I then get $300,000? It just opens up new lines of questions. And then the fact is, will you ask those questions or not out loud determines your comfort level and your fear level.
I think that's the other thing too, is, my boss is, probably 10 years older than me. And he'd been with the company 20 plus years. So he's like a veteran there. And, they kind of slid him over from one position to this one, because on this one, you don't have to travel, and, he's got the kids. And also he's kind of he is out of his comfort zone and moved over here, but they brought him in as the axe man. They were like, look, we know you're the guy who can boldface tell someone take less money or walk. And he did. I don't know how comfortable it was for him. He couldn't probably have liked that,
Totally.
but I mean, he's the guy who's wanting to keep himself and his, in line. So, you know, it was hard for me. Like I was like in there trembling, asking this older person here to consider giving me more money. And, you know, it was so antithetical to me. I just didn't know almost how to do it. You know, it felt so wrong. Like I'm getting over, you know, like, oh, I couldn't possibly be worth this much, but I really do want it, you know? And I think that was kind of my conviction level there was, I don't know. I don't see myself walking out of that having gotten the money either way, but I don't know if it's even his decision to make. And I think that's also the problem is that the higher ups give him caps and stuff.
Oh, you do totally. And but that's companies, man. Like there. So I'll give you 3 examples of when I knew I was gonna leave Nationwide, because me and you were in very similar situations. I mean, minus all of your background, but just like in general, I had a job that had benefits and I was getting paid. And for me, that was a big deal, right? I was like, holy smokes, like I'm getting a constant paycheck. You know, I was like, well, that's insane. Um, 2 things that changed, the big ones that changed it for me was I had good performance at work, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I won some type of award. And one of the awards was I got to do an interview with the chief human office resourcer of the whole company. Whatever. I was like, that's a dumb award, but fine. I was like, interview for a job that doesn't exist. Okay, great. So I go there, and the first question she asked is like, what's your goal of Nationwide Insurance? What do you want to do? I was like, I want to be CEO. And bro, she laughed at me. Like open mouth laughed at me.
Just bust it out. Okay.
Just laughed. That was the funniest thing ever. She's like, that's funny. She's like, you're funny. She's like, no, really, what do you want to do? And I was like, bitch, I was like, I want to
Right.
be CEO. Like that was a serious answer. And I told her, I was like, I really do. I want to be CEO. And she's like, well, that can never happen. I was like, why not? And she's like, do you have any CEO experience? And I was like, no.
Yeah, I didn't go to CEO college. No.
Yeah. I was like, how do you get CEO experience? I was like, you have to be CEO. I was like, doesn't what? But in that moment, I was like, I'm not gonna work here. Like once she told me I couldn't do that, I was like, well, I'm not interested, because that's what I want to do. I want to be someone who can create thoughts and create leaders and be in a position where I can help build internally.
Yeah.
So then the next one was, it was probably, I think, earlier, but there was another point in time where after looking over my previous employer, I saved the company $1 million of payout. So she paid 2 million, I paid 1 million. Same job, everything. I paid $1 million less. I was like, I deserve 10% of that. Because I was like, why not? I was like, I could have paid 2 million and you guys wouldn't have blinked an eye. I was like, but I paid $1 million, worked harder, did more negotiation, thought more about my job, saved you guys $1 million. I was like, I should get 10% of that. And they're like, that's not how this works, dude. And I was like, why not? Like, that just makes so much sense to me. That's just a math thing. You give me more money, and next year I'll save you another million, like compared to what she paid out $2 million in this position for 7 years straight. And I'm in year 1, $1 million. Anyway, so they said no. But again, I got an answer. And that's when I was like, yep, I'm not going to work here very long. Because that wasn't incentivizing me. That wasn't telling me like, those are some things I want to do. And it is the same with the market though, man. Like, and the reason I'm bringing up all this is the same with you, and it's the same with the market, because you get to create the questions that you ask yourself as well. And sometimes the questions you can ask yourself is like, why am I mad at this trade? Or why am I performing poorly? Or how can I remove myself emotionally from this and just be the best husband possible today? It's just a whole level of a different question. And like when you ask yourself these questions, because that's the point of all this, is it's not just an employee, it's literally every day you get to decide the questions that you ask yourself, and those questions will determine the quality of your life. And you can ask them to anyone else in the world, yourself, the market, a boss, a colleague, or a mentor, and figure out where you can go from here and how you can become more wealthy. Obviously, I know you want to trade full time. You would quit your job right now if you're making $20,000 a month off of trading. You would just quit.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, you love trading. I get that. I love trading too, man. And so the aspect of like, when do you quit and when can you cash in the chips and all that kind of stuff, making money in the market should just provide some type of motivation, Jack, that allows you to go, well, shoot, I don't need this answer. Like this is a dumb answer. I'm gonna go find another better answer because this answer is not good enough because I know I can make X, Y, Z in the market. And it provides you confidence and it provides you some stability and it provides you mental growth and clarity.
I mean, it's amazing. I've been, as time has gone on over the pandemic, and I don't know whether it's just the pandemic or when I kind of got into real life trading or not, but it seems to be about the same time. But it's like I'm getting less and less enamored with the work, at
Yeah.
the job now.
Yep.
And I don't, because, video production, and you obviously have experience with this, but like making commercials out of whole cloth, very collaborative process. You're in the room with people all the time. You got different departments all coming together, motion, graphics, edit, sound, all this stuff coming together with creatives, there's account people, there's clients, there's so many interested parties. And like, I'm like the linchpin that kind of keeps them all together to make sure it goes on time, on budget, and keep everyone's work-life balance together. And it's a really fun process for the most part. It just, and at the end, you get this great piece of work that someone on just fast forwards through on YouTube, because it's a commercial, right? But
Yeah.
so it means it seems disposable, but at the same time, you can make things that are, we do a lot of pro bono work and stuff that shows up that is impactful. So like you do work that changes things and or at least starts conversations, but for the most part, it's disposable. And seeing, it used to be okay to, it used to be fine to go sit there and watch, the edits for hours and hours and the same 30 seconds. And, we're change the size of the copy from 28 to 29. And, here's the period on the end of this legal line, and just the minutia and the semantics of it weigh on me. And as the time goes on, where it's becoming less and less artful and more corporate, it's just like I'm there kind of the linchpin, just pushing the papers in a circle to the teams, and I'm getting less and less fulfilled by it. And as we're remote, it's taking longer to do things. It's getting looser, and it's not, it doesn't have the same appeal as it did. And then at the same time, finding trading and becoming more active was originally like, hey, they cut our paycheck 10% for 3 months. I'm going to offset that through trading.
Yeah.
And then when they gave us the money back, I was making additional 10% plus. So I'm like, well, I'm going to just keep doing this too, because it's not taking that much of my time. And,
Totally.
but so now it's to the point where I'll be sitting there watching the markets all day alongside of working. And it'll be like, I'll get annoyed when I have to do something for work, because it's like, oh, should be. So it sucks because I want to give my job as much as I can. And because I do love the people and I do love the work. And if I were to do something else, I would want to start a studio that is still making these type of videos and want to work with the people that I work with now. Like I for years had thought it would be cool to do a motion graphic studio and make this kind of stuff in San Francisco, work with my friends. And then, but like, I always figured I could never afford it. And then, how would I develop all the questions? Like you said, it brings up all the other fears and unknowns.
Exactly.
And so, it's that's that little seed back here somewhere that one day I would start that, but it's becoming more and more now, like you say, if I were to get laid off, then I would probably just go straight to full-time trading. And you never know, maybe I would look for, because there are like, Facebook, Google, Lyft, Instagram, all of them have studios here in San Francisco because that's where their headquarters are. And this is where the creative people are. So there's plenty of other opportunities to do what I do for other bigger, more money clients here in the Bay Area. And so like that would probably what I would do if I were to get laid off, is go try and find another platform first to make videos at. And then, but I mean, the goal, if I were wanting to work at a real job for the rest, for years, would be to do a motion studio and hire my friends specifically just because I would want to work with them every day and pay my friends and then pay myself to do something I love, but not necessarily bleed over the commercials that someone's just fast forward through.
I love that, man. I mean, dude, I love that because here's the thing. Even if you trade full time, you need another stream of income, because why not? It's like, that's how you get really, really rich. like just have multiple, like you can make $100,000 a month, like trading. It's like, still do something else though. You know, like you should still like you make $100,000, you'll buy rental properties and businesses, and like you'll do other things. But at the same time, it helps with that detachment because you're like you have a way of pouring into something else that's exciting. You know,
Right.
like you have a way of doing something else that's intriguing and that's fun and that's new and that just creatively brings you out of your shell or whatever, just or turns on other brain synapses that allows you to do something else. Example, Joe Rogan has a multi-million dollar podcast, but also still does UFC announcing.
Right.
He loves it. He likes it, and he gets paid to do it, and it's a stream of income, and it creates other synapses and thoughts and patterns and all that good stuff. So in essence, when you're talking about like, well, I could just create my own film studio and just like work, like, yeah, you could, dude, and you could focus on a very, very specific type of video. It could be if it is commercials. I was like, I only do Super Bowl commercials. That's it. Like if you work with me, you're doing a Super Bowl commercial. Or we only do YouTube commercials. That's it.
Right.
Like we design things that are phenomenal for YouTube, and that is all we do. And so like if you work with us, and if you get niche enough, man, and I'm sure you got an amazing skill. It's like you can turn anything into a very profitable endeavor. It's just all the fear that's behind it because everything that you want, Jack, is on the other side of fear. Everything. And you just have to find out when do you take those leaps and when do you not.
Right.
And you can build up as much money as you want, as much trading profitability and all that kind of good stuff, but there's never a right time to do it. Because even if you quit, you start your own job, let's say you have $1 million, like, okay, cool, I got $1 million, you start your own job. It's like, well, there's still the fear, like, what if I lose my million?
Right.
You know, like it never disappears.
Right.
And there's always ways that you can structure your life in such a way where it makes so much financial sense because it's like, again, just an example, you're like, well, what if I can live somewhere else that's less expensive? Like, what if you move to Tennessee or Florida or Georgia or Alabama and create a film studio there? You know, cost of living here is like 1/8 the cost of San Francisco.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and then there'll be fears that will pop up. There'll be like beliefs where you're like, well, I can't do this because of this, all 9 of these reasons. And they might be extremely valid reasons. But again, it's still an option,
Right.
you know, and a lot of people like as long as you have to realize that sometimes you go, well, I'm literally just deciding not to go that route, even though I know it's a possibility. That's okay. But those are the things that we have to tell ourselves. And those are the things where you're like, well, that could be a direction for me. You know, I don't think it's going to happen, but it could be. And that's my worst case scenario. So if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. No big deal. But at least I know that I'm deciding not to choose that route. So it's always things to think about, man, because yeah, you could, businesses are amazing and they're super fun. And I will tell you this, you will always make more money in business than in stocks initially. Always. Because business is very, very controllable, 100% in your control, right? You get to
Right.
determine who you hire, marketing, who you fire, your message, your mission, your employees, your price, your cost, everything. You get to determine everything. The market, you can only control 99% of it, but you can't control how it moves. You can control everything else. And Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, all those guys started businesses, turned them into publicly traded companies, then became billionaires.
Right.
Right? Warren Buffett didn't sit down and start trading and made $1 billion. You know, like you might have traded, he bought some shares and he traded, right? And he had money. Same thing with Elon, everyone, all of them did it. But it's like, but Mark Cuban, right? Everyone, they took money, they made some money from the stock market, and they took some of that money and started seeding some of their future dreams and beliefs and goals and ideas and aspirations. And it was through business because it's so scalable. And it's like, even if you don't want to do it, it's like, no, you probably want to do some aspect of business, especially if it's with you and your friends and all your buddies, and it's like your own thing and it's
Yeah.
totally yours. It's just the fear. Because
Right.
like, what if I'm not good enough? What if it fails? What if it doesn't work? What do I do then? You know, all those things creep up. And it's like, yeah, all of it might be true. But same thing with stock market, bro. I literally talked to someone at RLT who blew out their account on Friday. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. They built it up. They did amazing. Like they literally did incredible for months and months and months. Had one random blackout bad day. Account was gone. I was like, yeah, bro. I was like, I'm sorry, man. I was like, that sucks. I've been there, dude. I was like, I've been there though. I know how it feels, but I was like, trading probably isn't for you. Because this is someone that reached out to me like 2 years ago and was like, hey, I want to do coaching like in person. And he had enough money to do it. I was like, cool, come do it. And he just never did. And just like, well, let me make enough money first and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, I worked with this guy for a lot. And I told him, I poured in tons of free time into him. And I was like, listen, man, these are the things you need to do, blah, blah, blah. Never did it. This is the result. And so I told him yesterday, I was like, I don't think trading is for you, man. The reason I'm bringing it up is because that's still a possibility with trading.
Right.
You know, it's like ultimate failure is a possibility with anything that we do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's trading, business, your job, relationship, family, whatever. We have to pour into those times and moments to make them magical and to make them special.
Well, it sucks, dude. Blew up the kind of seen, I think a few traders, maybe at least one, and Matt had mentioned this, that he'd talked to someone who had left. It's probably not the same person, but they like blew up their account over GME, and they like left, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what he was saying. He was like, yeah, I talked to someone and they blew it up and they left. And I almost, I want to guess who it is because I saw someone, post that they blew up their account on GME, and we all, a couple of the guys were like, and then they were like, he's like, no, I really did it. And so everyone's like, oh, sorry, we were just joking because we thought you were telling us what you're supposed to not do. But he really did, and I don't know what dude ended up doing, bought a bunch of, ended up holding a huge bag probably, but I don't see him posting anymore. And, I get it that's after 6 months and I had done very well. Like, here's me seeing people having, the 100R month and, January and stuff. And you see like the GME thing happen and I'm like, man, how do I get on this? But I didn't jump on anything that I didn't think I knew how to handle. So I'm lucky they didn't blow up my account.
Yeah.
I definitely had some paper losses and am down quite a bit comparatively, but I knew at least enough to not do any emotional trading or to try and swing it on the way down or catch anything. But and for fear, I just like, what we're hearing in the Slack, everyone's complaint will now be, I didn't buy enough on the way down. Right. So there's me on that. It's like, I didn't have stops in the right place. So lost some. And then on the way down, didn't buy enough. And now I'm, so I did all the things, all the fear things. But like, at least this time, cause my third day in RLT was September 3rd. Right. So I roll in, the second afternoon room I ever see is you saying, yep, just won all the cash and it's going to be great. And then tomorrow it was, and I had no idea what to do. And I hadn't watched, I'm just seeing it all happen. And it kind of happened to me as opposed to me being able to participate. But then here in February, like I'm now participating, but still wasn't, I wasn't ready for it. Like how, and re-watching, re-listening and seeing, the afternoon rooms around mid-February. I mean, you guys do it. You stop short of saying, okay, everyone sell everything right now, except you put a line there. But even if that line doesn't happen, it's, hey, we're getting pretty hot. Hey, we're getting time to take profits. Hey, maybe now's the time. And then boom. And so it's there and it's subtle, but people and me, I'm like, oh, it's we'll deal with that tomorrow. We're still at all-time highs, and when you see that account at all-time highs, it's really hard. And you get it in your mind, like, oh yeah, sell into strength and buying a weakness, and we're those things just go away when the actual time is here. So that's me now, is I know the things I should be doing, but doing them actually when it's time for them to be done is
the hard part. Oh, dude, for sure. And a lot of it comes from that rigidness, Jack, of like, okay, well, this is why I need to do it. This is what is dependent on me. These are the things I need to either A, pay for, or B, create, or C, buy, so that I can start financing these things to do these aspirations I have. Just a random example. I mean, imagine if you came up with a goal, you're like, I have to make, if I don't make $100,000 liquid cash by the end of the year, I'll shave my head and tattoo loser on my face. Harsh example, but
Right.
get the point. You know, like if you really, really committed to it, you could do it. Now, would it be
Yeah.
through trading or would it be through another means? I don't know. But you're like, I don't want to get that tattoo and I don't want to shave my head because I have beautiful hair. So it's like, I'm not going to do that. Right. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. Let's figure out how you could achieve it and come up with it. And if you have a really, really, really specific, insanely targeted goal and then a consequence if you don't attain that goal, and then a reason why you should obtain that goal, and it's a powerful enough reason, people hit it every time. It's actually impossible not to. That's what's crazy. Yeah, it's impossible not to. As long as if you have a big enough why and you have a consequence that you will do, and you tell the world, and you're like, "This is what I'm going to do if it doesn't happen." The fear is normally, well, I might not actually get it, so I probably shouldn't have that consequence because if I have that consequence, then it's, and I tell everyone I don't get it, which is likely, then I'll have to do the consequence. I don't really want to do it, so I just won't. You know, I mean, for example, let's say you're like, all right, I'm gonna become president of the United States of America. You're like, well, there's zero chance it's gonna happen. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, is there zero chance or is it 0.0001? Like, you know, the thing is like, if we have very, very specific goals and a big reason why we're going to do it, and that why is compelling enough, and then we have the consequence if we don't, bro, like the chances of it happening are so high. They're just so high. So when you're talking about doing the right things at the right time and why, and what, and all that good stuff, it's like, well, if you said, okay, well, let me just start looking for ways to create my own business and let me figure out like how much it would cost and let me buy the LLC and get some information and start thinking through and sit down and have a whole day where I think, what would I call my name? What would I call my studio? What would we focus on? How would we make money? How much would we charge? Would I be able to compete with all the companies that are out there? Um, you know, those pieces of it, man, is just like we get to decide and determine like what steps we go down, and the market just helps us realize what's possible, you know. So speaking of the market, I will get into the stocks. Any last minute questions about that?
No, I mean, it's amazing because I listen to you guys' content. I read the things. I watch the rooms every day, and I do spend and I think about it. You know, I do think about how I can apply this to me, and so it's been there. Like the things you guys say do plant seeds that I mull over quite a bit. So I mean, like when I'm pushing myself there. It's the fact that it's still turning means that it's working, right? So
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Sure, man. Well, which is good. Awesome. So one of the questions that you had when we chat on the phone was how can I find better hammers?
yes. So right now, what I do daily is the FinViz hammer scanner using
Yep,
the parameters set forth in your increase your net worth
yep, yep.
video. And it usually, daily will return at least a few. Some days, I can get pages of them. And so I've experimented with a couple. I'll take them in and look at the chart and try and just, see, is this hammer real? Is it in a place that has other, characteristics that could make this pop? Because, there's plenty of hammers that don't turn out. So, and sometimes they work, but most of the times they don't always. So,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe if
So
there's a thing, yeah. What do you think?
totally, man. Well, let's go through definitely some examples and let's talk about it. And let's just review all the things. So first and foremost, give me an example of one that worked.
Yeah, so Teledoc, while we're just on this, so I got in this one just to tell you the story in October, and I had gotten to in one of the IRAs, and I used up the entire IRA. I had 65 shares, and my cost basis is about 206,
Mhm.
and held on to it. And in my mind, when I had gotten into it, I was thinking, okay, well, this is going to be 400 in a year. And yeah, but then it got to 303, and I was thinking, well, if it gets to 306, maybe $100 a share, 6,500 for a couple months isn't bad. I'm going to sell it. And then it got to 303, but not 306. Started to go down. So I was like, oh, I'm going to hold this. I'll hold it. How bad could it be? And then it's like, okay, I was in the, I did an ad mentor group with DJ Dan, and we were all kind of looking at it. It seemed like we were all in TDOC, and I put out the question. I was like, should I put a stop loss on this just so I don't at least, get lower than my original investment? Because my problem was I didn't have more money. I couldn't put more money into the
Sure.
IRA. So if it did go below my cost basis, I couldn't add and make more
Yep.
of a pyramid. So it was like those 65 shares were it. And if I kept holding and was underwater, then I would just have to be that way. And so the fear kind of set in, whereas like, do I really want to hold this for a year? Do I really want this to get to 400? Or do I really just want to make sure I don't lose? So I put in a stop loss of 216, and so that's preserving a $10 gain per share. And I got stopped out. So I made that, $10 a share, but I left 6,500 on the table.
Yeah.
So that's pretty bad. And that's kind of the part two of this would be in a longer term hold where, where does a trailing stop go into a longer term position
Sure.
that you necessarily don't want to hold for, say, years?
Got it. So you're absolutely
Or
correct.
is the problem that my plan is that I didn't have a good plan on how long to hold it to begin with? Should I have said, when you get into these longer term positions, is it a thing where you say, okay, I want this to get to 400 and I'm not going to sell until it does? Or is it, I'm going to just hold it until I feel the time is right? Like, I guess the target setting for the longer term positions is also something.
So the
might need some help
interesting answer is both. Like you get to choose. There's no right or wrong answer, man. Because for me, it's like, could you hold this to 400? Absolutely. Will it go to 400? Yes. Will it probably take a year from October? Yes. Has it been a year yet? No, it has not. It's been 5 months. All right.
Right.
Number two, you said it was going to hit, like, I'm gonna sell if it hits 306. It hit 308 actually, February 16th.
Or did it hit 308?
I did.
Okay. Well, I didn't have that's the thing. I didn't have a.
No, you did not.
No.
Exactly. So when you're talking about like, all right, well, if it hits, because I do have like escape hatch plans, like, all right, I'm gonna hold this until it goes higher. Perfect. That's fine. Um, I'm gonna have this for a year, and then I'll hold it for a year, no question. Or I'll say I want to hold this until 400 unless XYZ occurs. It's like, well, what is XYZ? Like, what are those things? Have some plan A, plan B, plan C's, because one way as far as trailing a stop is, in my opinion, one of two candles were very prominent, right? If you're going to have a trailing stop, it would have to have been the below the low of this candle right here, or absolute bare minimum below the low of this one. Like neither one of those, like breaking down, was going to be a good thing. I don't think on any time frame, I mean, like this candle closing, earnings were right around the corner. It was like it took out this guy, like perfect hammer, took out that support, really nice gap up on this day. It's like, well, why not just get out right there? I was like, yeah, exactly. I don't know. Why not? Because you're locking in a profit and all that kind of good stuff. So there's no right or wrong answer, man, because the goal is it's an IRA, so there's nothing you can do with it anyway. It's like it's not like you can pull out money like constantly. So it's like, number one, who cares? Number two, it's like if you go down that direction, go down that direction. Just don't sweat it. Like literally don't care. Like let it go to zero, whatever, and then just let it do its thing. But if you're going to actively trade it, come up with your plans. Like, okay, I actually could actively trade this thing, and this is how I'm going to do it. And I will hold the 400, but I won't lose on the trade, right? Which you didn't, and that's a good thing. But you're like, I'm not going to lose on it, and if you do spend the time and the energy and the effort and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna sell it at this price because it's really high. And I think if I sell it at 306, I could get back in at 280 or whatever. Having that ability to go, okay, cool, this is what I'm gonna do. Just based on the chart and based on the pattern and based on all the good stuff. Like if we zoom out really quick and we just kind of really zoom out, like this is a break out of a distribution phase. And this is right here is a short-term retest. And what happens next?
You get the gap and go there.
Yep. Well, so you get a short-term retest, and then you always get a long-term retest of every big breakout. Same thing over here, right? This is a short-term retest, and then this is the long-term retest. Like when it broke out of this little distribution. So I mean that's something that always happens. Like you always get a short-term one, then you always get a long-term one, and you get to decide when you sell. So imagine if you bought Teladoc over here during COVID at 137. It's like, would you have sold over here, or here, or here, or here? Or would you have held literally through all of this to capture this move right now? And then again, would you still be in it after it's pulled all the way back? Because that was March. So that was a year ago. So imagine you bought at 130 and you're like, I'm not going to sell until 350. It's like, well, would you still be holding it? And the only way to answer those questions, man, is to go in and practice and literally visually see what a stock did and go, all right, can I hold it for this long and why? And then zoom into the price without like cheating and writing down the dates or whatever. It's like, would you exit at a high and be able to buy it back lower and just practice? Or go the route of, I don't care. And just lose all attachment. And literally, like, if you're going to not sell until 400 for a year, hold until 400.
Yeah, I think that was my problem is when setting it up, I was like, yeah, and I tried, I'm like, I won't care. And it'll just do this and that'll be it. But I think as time went on, I guess my thoughts had changed around what I wanted to do in the accounts. And, I figured maybe I could more actively trade them. Because it's like these are the 4 IRAs that I inherited. So I can't put money in. I can only take it out slowly over, every year they require you to take a little bit. So I guess my goal, first I was thinking, oh, I'll just put it here and, a couple years, it'll be double or whatever. But now I'm thinking, maybe if I was more active in trading them, perhaps I could double them faster. So what do you think about that? I mean, just since I have limited funds to work with, would it be, I mean, how bad would it be to actively trade those IRAs? And
It's not bad. I would say if you have that goal to again come up with a very specific goal for it. Like I want to double it in a year. Okay, cool. When you're in a position, it's like, all right, well, I want it to get as close to doubling as it can. I will hold through whatever drawdowns I need to because I'm gonna be in great companies at good prices. And then when it goes up nicely, I'm gonna trail my stop so that there's zero chance I lose big on the trade. And then if I get trailed out, I get trailed out and I take the winnings. I either buy that stock again or I go buy something else. That's fine. I mean, dude, that's how I grew mine. Like here, the way I grew my initial IRA and 401k and all that good stuff was exactly the same thing you did on Teladoc. Is I'd buy, a butt ton over here, and then you held and you held and you held and doing covered calls, right? Decreasing my cost base. I know you have to have 100 shares, but so you don't have 100 shares, no big deal. And then when it trades up, I mean, all of this huge white candles coming in, sell. Like you were up 40% at least. It's like, dude, just lock it in. That's huge. Like if you want to double your account, like you're halfway there in less than 4 months. Buy low, sell high. Right? Just get out. Take the win. And yeah, you're not going to sell up here. That's fine. I mean, you almost did call the top. That would have been awesome. But it's like buy low, sell high, lock in your gain, huge bullish candle, huge bullish volume, all-time high. You're up massively. I mean, that's when I sold most of my Teladoc. And then like, why not? Like it's high. And then if you did a covered call, if you had 100 shares and you get called away up here, that's the point of covered calls. Get called away and then buy back down here. And it's like, again, are you gonna buy right there? It's like, probably not. I did. I got very lucky somehow. This is just my lines. I bought it 174.20, but even that wasn't the low. The low was 174. So even I didn't get the low. Like you're never going to get the exact low on any particular trade. So anyway, long story short, in a situation like this, man, it's like if you have that goal, like I'm gonna double my account in a year. Okay, that's it. Why? So come up with a compelling enough reason. And then what's your consequence if you don't? And then once you have those three things written down and you tell the world, you go, all right, awesome. Here's my plan of action. I'm going to actively trade stocks. I'm going to go all in on some positions. I'm not going to lose on them. So if they go down, I'll hold. But if they go higher, once they start going higher, I'll trail my stop and I'll just keep trailing until I get trailed out, and you get trailed out there.
So then for putting that on, just because I haven't actually entered this order yet, for the stop, would you trail it on percentage or dollars?
I trail it on shares, the value of the chart, like what the candles look like always.
So you wouldn't have it like for Fidelity, when you enter the stop, you can, it'll be like, okay, trail stop, and you put in a percent or a dollar.
Well, that's a trailing stop, right? You can do that. I don't use trailing stops. I just go in and put in, here's my stop market sell order at this price. I just go and manually update it every week or 2 weeks.
Manually, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I was wondering if, when I heard trailing, I was thinking you guys were actually entering the physical button that says trail with a percent or a dollar. So you're just in manual stop management. Okay.
Great question. Very good clarifying question. Yeah, man. I mean, that's what I do. I'm not saying that's the absolute right way or the best way, but it works. So for me, like taking a trade like Johnson and Johnson or whatever this is, Jacob Engineering's group, that looks great. I think I was back trading this one. I have no idea what this even is. Okay, cool. Johnson and Johnson. So take an example like this. It's like, imagine you buy whatever amount here, and it's irrelevant how much you buy or here or whatever, and it trades up to there. It's like, well, sell it. It's $30 a share, all-time high. Johnson Johnson's like, you don't think it's going to retest old resistance, new support, and then you sell it up there and it pulls back to support. I mean, I know it sounds and looks easy, but dude, it really is. It's like you sell it here and then you do jack shit for a month. You don't do anything. You have a limit sell, you're like, or limit buy, like this is where I'm going to buy Johnson Johnson. And then you don't do anything, because that's what most people do, is like, it's been a week and a half and I'm not doing anything. Dead money. Money's not making me money. Oh, this is stupid. Like my money needs to be making me money at all times during the day. It's like, no, dude, that's a fallacy. Like,
That's how I think about it.
yeah, I get it. Like, trust me, I totally understand. But like, people are like, money needs to work. Money, blah, 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 blah. Bro, if you double your account in a year, you're one of the best traders in the world. Like,
Right.
the best. Like, you are an NFL player level quality trader if you can double an account, like a meaningful account in a year. That's insane town, bro.
Well, and I was able to do that with one of those IRAs. In the one that I did the right thing with was in October. I split the 12K half in Redfin and half in Tesla. Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, couldn't have picked two better stocks for in October. And so I took that from 12 to about 25, which was great. And when Redfin, I was in 100 shares at 44. And when I got up to 96, I was like, for sure, this is going to be 100. I'm going to sell when it gets to 100. And I had this is the first time I'd taken partials. I sold some at 80 because I had like 140 shares. I sold some at 90. I'm like doing all the little partials, taking some gains, using that cash to buy more Tesla when it was up. So like, I did the right things. And then with Redfin, it was so hard for me because I was like emotionally attached. I was like in October, I'm like, I'm going to hold this till it's 100. So I almost feel like I'm failing somehow if I'm not selling before it's 100. There's like this weird attachment to a target. But when the market started falling, I was like, I am not going to lose this gain after what just happened at Teladoc. So I put a stop at 80 and I got stopped out. But, I was able to get back like 9K, which was great. And then I was able to use that to buy more Tesla as it's dropping, because that was, this is like a college fund idea. I wanted Tesla to pay for as much as the kids' college as possible. And so that was working, and then using the proceeds from one to buy the other. So I feel like I did do it right, but for some reason on like Teladoc, it was just so, this is also my roller coaster too, is like for some things it's working and I'm able to just cut it off and sell. Other things I have this emotional attachment, and it's hard because I want to be able to have the same emotional attachment across the board. And
Yeah, and dude, it might be, it could be, Jack, that you don't know anything about Teledoc and you shouldn't trade it. Obviously, it sounds like you have more of an affinity with Tesla and maybe even Redfin. Um, if you don't know anything about Teledoc, you haven't done any research on it, you don't like it, like it can just be an affinity thing. Like if you know and love Tesla and you have a why, like you mentioned for the first time ever, like kids college fund or something, right? Is that what you said?
yeah,
Like that's a why, homie.
yeah.
You know, you're like, I want to pay for my kids' college. It's like, well, okay. And then now you have a very, very specific reason. And then you can have okay, well, if I don't do it, this is what will happen, you know? So I'm 20 years from now, if I don't have XYZ in that account, whatever, I'll get a giant back tattoo, or, you know, I'll do an ice cold plunge for a year. Or I won't take hot showers, or I won't drink coffee, or whatever. I don't know. And then just go do it. Yeah. Yeah. Because yeah, the affiliation, the affinity, like the emotional attachment, that's okay once you know that. But again, it's the practice. That's why I kind of brought up initially, is I know that that's one of your challenges. And that's one of my challenges, dude. I'm not good at it at all. That's just one of the things I kind of strive to do, to get better at it, is to not care, you know, and it, because money amplifies who you are now. And if right now you're afraid and you're scared and you have emotional attachments and you have fear and panic and stress about doing things, whatever those things might be, if you have $1 million in your account, same exact anxiety, fear, stress, worry, panic, all those things are
No, because I feel like, this is my perception, is part of being in a position where you can say, I don't care, is because at the end of the day, you got that $1 million in the bank. So like if you were to, lose, or your whatever you're trying to do doesn't work out, it's still going to be okay. And I just feel like with me, I mean, just that would, in my mind, I guess that's the box check to equal okay, is knowing you have enough money to where if you fail on every other aspect, you're going to be able to still bankroll yourself and your family. And I guess that,
You would think that, dude. You would think that. You just have to trust me on that, man. Money amplifies who you are now. So if you do think that that $1 million is the magical mark, go interview and talk to and discuss with a few millionaires who've done it. Go talk to them, right? Go interview them. Go have discussions and listen to what they say, and you'll get a very realization that money is irrelevant. Doesn't, because dude, you can make millions of dollars tomorrow through real estate deals with no money at all. None. You don't have to have any money at all to make millions of dollars in real estate. You just have to go find the deal for the people. That's it. You know, you don't have to have any money to make money. You just have to have time and resources and knowledge, and you have to add value. If you add enough value, you'll make the money. It's just the law of nature. So the reason I'm bringing that up is, I think in my opinion, my perception is, that's what money does, is it just amplifies who we are. So if we want to remove those fears, we have to start doing it. We have to start now. Because if you don't have $1 million at this exact moment in time, it's because you're afraid of it, right? Our current financial situation is determined by our belief system. And everyone will go, dude, that's the absolute bullshit, because I want $1 million so bad. It's like, cool. Everyone does, homie. Everyone wants $1 million in cash. The reason that you don't have it is because there is some fear, that some subconscious fear, that if you have $1 million, that you'll end up doing something that you shouldn't do, that would destroy your family's future, or would wreck your relationships, or would pull you away from your friend circle, or you would have to stop drinking alcohol and you don't really want to do that because you like drinking alcohol and you know that it brings you joy. So if you don't, right, it won't make you happier. And so all these random things that occur, they're all subconscious, dude. None of these are on a conscious level. None of them. None of these are things that you actually think about. These are all things that are deep, deep, deep down inside.
Okay.
You know, and it doesn't, like the whole trading aspect, it doesn't even matter. That's what's crazy, is because you make $1 million, then you go like, oh well, I want 5 now.
Well, that's my other thing is like once you get to the million, you're never gonna stop there. It's like, okay, well now you gotta go for 2, you know, and then once you get 2, you gotta go for 4. So
Yeah, there's an interview I did with Daniel Crosby. He's a psychologist, a doctor in psychology, and he said that humans will never have enough money. There's like 99% of humans will never have enough. So yeah, don't even try to have a measurement for like, okay, if I hit this number, then everything will be fine. So we'll just be fine now. Just like be fine now and work on all the internal things that you want to fix on yourself now, and then go get the money, because then it's just money just amplifies who you are. And when you're trading, one of the things that I look for to, again, like that patience level, I talked about on Johnson Johnson, waiting for that like long period of time, is I will go and study hammers and candles, and I'll figure out like which ones would I have taken and why versus whatever else. So for example, this hammer right here on Teledoc, it's a perfect hammer. It's amazing. It's really, 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 really good. But I know that it would have gone lower, so I wouldn't have entered the exact high. And the reason I know that, even though I know I saw what it did, but here, this is a double top, and you're below all the moving averages, right? All the main moving averages. And this candle by itself is a 10% day.
yeah, you're retesting it. Yeah.
Massive, bro. So that means that we're going to probably trade up like this and then pull back down somewhere into that candle, because anyone who buys down here, right? If they buy down there and the stock goes up, well, it's like, well, whoever bought there is going to be up 16% in like 3 or 4 days.
Right.
Now, does that mean that you can't day trade this, or like really, really quick, like I'm gonna buy here and sell there and just capture a little bit of profit and then rebuy as it pulls back? No. And the reason I know that is because I'll go and look at this candle and I'll go see what it does. And I'll go, okay, cool. Yep. Did the exact thing I thought I was going to do. All right. Let me go find out if it ever did that before in history. Or does any other stock ever done that? You know, and I'll try to start getting the sentiment for candles and for hammers that look like that. So I'll be able to analyze, oh, wow, this is what we're probably going to do on this particular trade. The best hammer for me is the one that's above all moving averages, that's not super, super big, has a nice upper shadow, and takes out a low of a previous day. This one, perfect hammer, right? It retests all moving averages. It closes above all those moving averages. We retested this old resistance, new support. You have 3 white candles in a row. This lower shadow takes out the low of this candle, has a little bit of an upper shadow on it. That's a perfect hammer. I would enter that with size, margin, calls, whatever. I would get in pretty heavy and boom, 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 ride it up. There's a little bit of a pullback and I get out at this resistance, 71, some change. So that's 63 to 71. That would have been my trade. And I probably wouldn't have taken anything else on it until after earnings. And then you get a nice hammer here. All right. And I probably would have taken that hammer. But I wouldn't have taken it with huge size because again, it didn't go below the low of this candle, although this is a nice gap and go, and that's pretty. All right. This hammer didn't go below the low of this candle, and it didn't really interact with the moving averages. So it's like, well, you know, it's okay. Same thing with this one. Good gap, nice gap, but it didn't go below the candles. So I wouldn't have done anything special with it. I would have taken the trade, but I wouldn't have done anything large or crazy. Might have gotten stopped out, good chance. And then look at this candle. Amazing. All right. It gets all.
I'm just trying to, why, and it's just for my own, just because I like to understand the process. Why is it that we want the low to take out yesterday's?
Yep.
Why is it? because it's like people are taking profit, and we're seeing it go down, but the bulls came in to rescue it, so there's some momentum behind it now. Is that the idea?
That's one. The other idea is that lower shadow stops out a bunch of people who have their stops too tight, and they get all pissed off, and pissed off people go back in and revenge buy with larger
Got it.
size usually.
So that's it. Is we're hoping the people that are like, damn it, I got to get back in now, and they rush back in, and there's going to be like a flood to push it back. Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's like an emotional overreaction from traders
Yep.
that then push it back up. Okay.
Exactly. Precisely right. That's why I love it when you get a nice like stop out candle, like those are perfect.
Yeah.
Like this gap right here is life. Like this is the most perfect gap I've ever seen in my whole life, dude. This candle traps these guys. You know, it comes lower shadow comes into the 10, you get an inside candle, then it gapped right above this candle, open of this candle, this guy, all these people are trapped. Good uptrend already. Nice gap and go over here. I was like, yeah, that's perfect. Great gap. So I'm getting in somewhere over here for sure. You know, here's your high wave candle, nice run up. And look at this perfect hammer. You kidding me? Like, look at this thing, man. Like, that's so good. Perfect. And then you get this candle that comes in, 2 hammers back to back, right? I would have absolutely gotten in there for sure. And then earnings came out. So I probably would have gotten in here, probably would have sold on that day, honestly. 115 to 125 in a day, $10 a share in one day. Yeah. With earnings right around the corner. Yep. Would have taken that. Even if I would have been like, I'm going to be in this trade for a year. And then it goes up $10 in a day. I'm like, yep, I'm just going to exit. Because the thing is, man, your goal is to make profit.
Right.
It's not to be right.
See, I think that was my hang up, especially with, with a couple of these is like, oh, I picked this. This is the winner. If it doesn't win, then I go down with the ship, I think is my,
Sure.
and totally, and it's not, and so I'm combining like the trade success with my self-worth and my success when it should be completely not connected. And it's like, I'm here to make the profit. And if it's profit taking now, then I'm going to do that while I have the opportunity. Who cares if I shouldn't be attached to, I'm not going to be less or more of a person if it doesn't hit my 400 target. I think
Correct.
that's my,
Yeah. And that's kind of why I brought up at the very, very outset, that detachment piece is because I know you well, and it's not a negative, bro, at all. Like, trust me, I battle with it every day,
yeah.
every day. Because who can't love something this much and not be attached to it? That's hard. Same thing with money. And this will really make you upset. Same thing with your wife. Same thing with my wife. It's like we have this incredible connection, and everyone does if you're married, but we're also detached in a way that if I died or she died, it would be horrible, horrific, terrible in every way possible. But we're detached from that outcome because it's going to happen. Don't know when, but it will. I'll die or she'll die. Someone will die. And it's like, so it's irrelevant. Like, it's already occurred. It's already going to happen. It's not a big deal. It's like you have to remove yourself from the caring of that because that's a future stress that hasn't happened yet. So don't worry about it. Just detach yourself from that outcome fully because it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's like if you're terrified of getting sick, so you never leave your house. It's like, well, you're going to get sick anyway, and you can get sick in your house. So it's like, if you eat wrong food, like your body's going to crush you. So yeah, man, ironically enough and strangely enough, that is a practice that I strive after every day. It's not easy at all. I'm not good at it at all, but I'm trying. And same thing for you, man. Like, once you remove and just don't care, your goal as a trader, get good at your timing, execute your plan, make money, don't lose more than you make. That's it. Those are the 4 things. That's all you have to do. And then don't lose more than you make. All comes down to second grade math. So if I buy 65 shares and I go up $10 a share, right? $650 in a day, boop, take that out, take out $400, buy an asset with it. Take my wife out to dinner, buy something for the kids, buy some shares for the kids, go in, do my own thing, go buy an asset.
I think that was part of it too is, I was stuck on, we're going to, all this money that I make, we're going to just put it back in the pile, and that'll be more buying power / bigger R number. And I didn't, I didn't think to, hey, let's take some cash out, let's create cash flow. Is just, let's keep it all in there. And so that's when the trading psychology course, the hearing, that I'm not the only trader that doesn't celebrate the wins is good. I mean, I imagine we're probably all the same exact way. Like, man, instead of it, I just made 650 on this trade. It was like I could have made 700 is what I say instead, So that kind of, that's just me. Like I'm never
Oh,
satisfied with
that's
what I'm
everyone,
able.
dude. Yeah, that's everybody. It's definitely bring in satisfaction. Yeah, celebrate the small wins. Do what you need to do on that scale to feel that, and pour it in. You know, pour it in because doesn't mean that you have to on every trade, dude. But like at the end of the month, it's like your goal is to make money. Like yeah, like you want to make all the money now, but it is let's say it's a 10-year process, but who cares? Like at a 10-year process, if you're going to become a millionaire, like it's going to take you a little bit of time. But if you become a millionaire in 10 years, is that a negative thing? It's like, no.
Right.
So you're a millionaire in 10 years. Okay, great. And so now you're a millionaire. Now you've got it. Now you're there. What next? So have those visions, have those minds, and just do whatever we can do to create ideas and dreams and beliefs for ourselves now. And same approach is just try to do absolutely everything we can to live an extremely happy life and figure out the tiny, tiny, tiny details that we can change, adjust, and tweak on a daily or weekly basis that scare you, that kind of terrify you a little bit, and then go do those things.
So for on the pyramids this last couple weeks, I was able to get 100 shares of Fastly at about 67 is my cost basis. So that worked out. That one I actually was able to successfully complete. The other one I was trying for was kind of it's interesting, you said it the other day, turning a swing trade in or a day trade into a swing trade. Mine was kind of like that, where I attempted an earnings play, just like a 10 share earnings play on Peloton before its last earnings. And it crushed earnings, but gap down. And of course, right.
Yeah.
And so I'm just holding those shares. And so when the downturn started, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to turn this into a pyramid because I like Peloton and I want to have the 100 shares. So I started, setting it up as it went down. But then got to the point where I've got 50 shares at about 128. And I was waiting to buy the last 50 at the bottom rung, and which would have been the 200 simple moving average, which I think was at the time about 97 or so. And that day it hit where it plunges dramatically below the 200. I think it hit 94. The
Yep.
next day, 94. So I was like, okay, well, you know what? This is going to keep going lower. I'm going to, lower the rung on this, because tomorrow, as you see the candle, even though we gapped up, it was this huge like race to the floor candle there where it just kisses the 200. And I was like, okay, well, tomorrow it's got to plunge lower, and I'll get this the lowest rung. And then now it didn't. So now I'm stuck with the 50 shares at 128. And so how do I handle this now? And your suggestion, would it be, Falco kind of touched on this the other day, when your last rung doesn't hit, you wait a certain amount of time and then you just reallocate if it's not going to come down. But
that's really it, man. Like, so number one, if you have an area that you want to get filled on, put your limit order in there and don't care. That's step one. Like you cared way too much about the outcome of that trade.
Yep.
Number two, absolutely. Yep. Just come up with like, this is a old resistance. Boom, boom. Beautiful. Good volume right there. That's where we bounced off of. Put a limit buy there again, 98. And then, yeah, wait until April 1st. Pick a random time. You're a wizard. Who cares? April 1st. I was like, okay, April 1st. If it doesn't get down there by April 1st, then I will do XYZ. And that XYZ can be take the money that you were going to make from it and buy 1 share a day, or set another limit order, or just look at the candles and then say, all right, well, let's pretend it's right here and it didn't hit 98 and it's just kind of hanging out. Then you're like, all right, well, I'll take that pyramid and I will put it above that price. So if it breaks above, then I get in with that other pyramid and my stop's there on the whole position, right? Or whatever. And that's normally what I do, man, is I
Just
just,
wondering, would it lower my cost basis? And I guess that we're kind of past that now, right? Is lowering the cost basis.
yeah, we're past that. Cause now you just want to accumulate a good stock that you like at a good level. Cost basis doesn't matter, you know, cause it can go lower, bro. Like Peloton can go to 50, 40, 30 easily.
Well, that's what I was expecting is, well, I'm sure that's what everyone's expecting is, well, why would it stop at this resistance if, you know, like if we're looking at what COVID did for it, why doesn't it drop 50%? Because that's probably where it's really worth, you know, but yeah, I mean, it was the fear. It was like, oh, this has got to come down lower. You know, and it was combo of, you know, I only have so much cash. There was other things I wanted to do. Like I was trying to, you know, it was this rush of everything's on sale. I want to get all the tickers. I haven't planned anything. I only have so much cash. And then like, while that's churning, then nothing gets done because it's just churn and, you know, there's no plans. So that's what happened to me. That's the situation I was in. And now I'm back where that didn't buy enough or wish bought more. And okay. All right.
So that I agree with Falco wholeheartedly, man. Come up with a price, put your limit in there, come up with a date. And if it doesn't hit it by that date, whatever that random ass date that you pick in your brain, if it doesn't hit by then analyze the chart and then either set up new limits at that point and then you wait again, or just start accumulating some shares. Because the point is, like, it doesn't really matter what your cost basis is. If Peloton does something like this, which it probably will do, is trade back up, then it won't matter, you know, like then you'll win on it. And it's still going to take 5 months for that to occur. So
Right.
who cares, you know? Fine, let it take 5 months. And over that 5 months, just figure out how you can build up yourself into the best version of you possible. Right? Ask yourself, what is if Jack Whalen has $1 million liquid cash in his bank account, what does he do every day? What's his routine? What's his life like? What do you read? How do you sleep? Where do you sleep? Where do you live? What do you eat? All those questions, man, and just start kind of figuring it out. You know, so that you know now, so that then you can go ahead and kind of living and being that person now. You know, because if you do exactly what you do now, if you're a millionaire, then perfect. And if you don't, figure out what those changes would be and then go do those things. You know?
Yeah. All right. What else? What other tips or pro tips can you give me here?
Dude, we went deep today, man.
Yes, this is great. I appreciate it. And yeah. Yeah, and you know, it's kind of on a more metaphysical level. It's interesting. I see a lot of to hear you talk about your life and kind of the way, you know, and then we're similar in age, and so I think there's a lot of kind of generational similarities between you and I, and the way we think and kind of the way we approach things, and also similar. I mean, and you know, you mentioned your dad had passed away when you were younger. My dad, same thing. It's actually April 1st is gonna be 20 years since he's been gone. So there's that, and you know, it's interesting, like to see just the community you've created here and how, you know, we all interact with it is, it's been great. You know, it's cool to be part of this and have this as another outlet. Because, you know, like I say, I mean, I don't get to see my friends really. My coworkers are just video. So I'm almost closer to this community than to any other at this point, which
Love it, dude.
Which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, man. And thank you for the compliment, brother. It honestly, dude, it just comes down to that lack of fear, that strong purpose, that strong belief, and that really, really focused intentionality. You could create a community of video designers, you know, and you guys, that's all you do is just video design work. And you can create a website where freelance video designers go to, and people come in and make bids on projects, and you know, whoever gets it gets it. I mean, it's kind of like 99 Designs, but just for video. I mean,
Right.
Sky's the limit, man. And your brain will initially go like, yeah, bro, there's a million of those companies. And it's like, yeah, sure there are. Who cares? You know, there's a million other people that need your product. Like it's irrelevant. Like there's a million stock education companies and communities and people, and they're probably all great. I don't know, but it's irrelevant. Like it's like just create a group and a tribe of people that you really care about, that you want to surround yourself with, and just be a badass.
Right.
Have you read that book, by the way?
Which one?
You Are a Badass.
I haven't. No. Is that something else for the list?
That's the one for the list, my man. That's the next one. It's by Jen Sincero. You Are a Badass.
Well, the one of your videos where you mentioned talking about, bragging about yourself, or at least, being able to say, you're awesome when you know it, is that's one of those things also that I haven't, we're never told. I was never told to do that. It was always about humility and
same.
So yeah, it's tough. It's tough for me to do that. Like I hate it when I get complimented. Like it's tough for me to take a compliment, because I don't even know how. Like I don't even want to say thank you. I was like, no, don't say that, just because like it's hard for me to hear it, and I don't know why. I mean, it's a psychological thing, but it's probably part of the success too. It's like, well, what you don't have the balls to earn $1 million, because you just don't. It's like that's kind of like. I'll say that to a stock sometimes. I'll sit there and I'll see it going up. I'm like, you don't have the balls to get to this price. And then it does, and then it's so like, that's kind of like me too, it's like it's internally, like I'm just so, conditioned to not, that I could never get there for myself, that it's playing out. It's like it's manifesting. So
dude,
yeah, I just have to manifest the other way.
You nailed it, man. You nailed it. It's the small things, man. It really is. There's one tiny other piece of homework that I can give you is come up with another goal. Like if you want to, like whatever that goal is. And so let's say you want to double whatever account by the end of this year. Awesome. Like whatever the goal is, send it to me first. And then we'll make sure it sounds good and looks good. And then I want the goal to start with, I want to, and then say whatever the goal is. So I want to, and then whatever the goal is. And then as you send that my way, I'll review it and look over it. And then when we submit it, like when you write it, you'll write it into Slack. So you'll post just whatever that goal is into Slack. And then when you do that, you'll have to get rid of at least 40 items from your house, from your home, from your domicile, whatever those items are.
Interesting.
At least 40. So it could be the random thing, man. It could be an old shirt. Like that could be one, a bike that you never use. That could be two. It could be like a random box or something. It could be 3. Just 40 items. Either donate them, burn them, give them away, charity, whatever. Just get rid of them out of your house. Like remove some of the energy and allow more energy to come into your home and into your life.
Like a feng shui kind of thing.
That's it, bro. Yep. Because if you want new things, you have to create new space for new things.
All right.
So
I'm going to come up with a goal. It's going to start with I want.
Yep.
And I'm going to start your way, and then I'm going to remove 40 items from my
Yep.
house.
And then read the book, You're a Badass, and that's it. Those are your only homework, man. Easy. Oh, and then when you do the You're a Badass, like there's a lot of homework in that. I want you to do all the homework in the book too.
All right.
Like at the end of every other chapter, so there's like a little homework piece.
All right. Are you, just a quick question, are you buying, and feel free to say now, are you buying an island down there in the BVI?
Not buying an island. I did make an offer on a house, and it was next to an island. And the price was so good that they did what's called, there's a rule down there that if you don't live there, if you're not what's called a belonger. So if you belong there, if you're not a belonger, every job, house, land, like literally anytime that there's money transacted, they put that out for the whole community, country, and islands. And if there's a belonger that wants that whatever, they get the first right of refusal. So
Really?
yeah. So anyway, long story short, I put a down payment, was going to get the house, and then they put it out for everyone to vote on, more or less. And then someone else wanted it, so they put it in and they matched my offer, and there was nothing I could do. So I'll be down there a lot. I am the chief investment officer of the island, the Ariel, and Brittany and I work very closely together on numerous projects. And I'll be down there in June. I'll be down there in August. I'll be down there. I think that's it. Maybe a little bit in July. Yeah, maybe some June, July, and August. So I'll be back down there. But yeah, man, I'm buying another house in Nashville, so I'll be moving into that hopefully next week.
Nice.
So exciting times.
Interesting, very interesting. The well, I'm planning on going to the Lake Tahoe July summit.
Sweet.
Yeah, because that's like a 3-hour drive for me, and
Perfect.
trying to get the wife and kids to go. She's made it clear that she may use that opportunity to take the kids somewhere else, which is fine with me. I'd love to have them come, but you know, either way, you're probably going to see me there.
Perfect, dude. Can't wait, man.
All right, well, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, and thank you so much for the call here and the information. I'm sorry, most of it was just kind of us talking through the psychological aspect, but I feel like that is so strong of an aspect that it's really important. So
yeah,
I appreciate
it. My pleasure, homie.
And everything you guys do, you know, the inspirational part of it, the, you know, talking us through stuff. I mean, I know it's not easy to answer the same questions 1,000 times in a row, to say the same material day in, day out, to have the same people ask the same questions you've answered a million times, and then get obstinate when you guys aren't giving them good enough answers, or somehow blaming you for not making them $1 million. You know, so I see that. I see you guys doing it. I see you handle it, and you know, I appreciate it quite a bit.
Dude, my pleasure, man. My pleasure. It's an honor and a privilege, brother. I love you so much. Thank you for being here, and I'll send you the recording of this as well.
For sure. Yeah, and we'll keep checking in, man. All right.
All right, bro. Sounds great.
Take care.
See you, man. Bye.